Welcome to Tiny Desk Worship for First Church and Parish in Dedham. Today is Sunday, June 6th, 2011, and we are celebrating our children. We'll begin with our centering thought. Children are not things to be molded, but are people to be unfolded. That's by Jessie Lair. I invite you to relax into our prelude, Bright Morning Star by Matt Meyer.
Bright morning star arise, and bright morning star arise, and bright morning star arise, and day is a breaking in my soul. Rise up from morning slumber, rise up from morning slumber, rise up from morning slumber. Day is a breaking in my soul. Rise up and hear your calling, rise up and hear your calling, rise up and hear your calling. Day is a breaking in my soul. Bright morning star arise, and bright morning star arise, and bright morning star arise, and day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, lift your voice to heaven, oh, lift your voice to heaven, oh, lift your voice to heaven. Day is a breaking in my soul. We'll build this faith together, we'll build this faith together, we'll build this faith together. Day is a breaking in my soul. Bright morning star arise, and bright morning star arise, and bright morning star arise, and day is a breaking in my soul. Day is a breaking in my soul. Day is a breaking in my soul.
Hi, I'm the Reverend Rali Weaver, and it's so good you can be with us today. If you are a member of our church and you can join us, please stay in Zoom with us or come to Zoom following worship so that we can have our annual meeting today. We will vote on our Safe Church policy, on our budget, and on our nominating slate for next year. There are lots of ways to be involved, but the last thing that we do in the church year, which is next Sunday, is have a socially distanced picnic on the green following worship. I hope you'll join us on the green for worship at 10 o'clock and bring a picnic lunch and join us for a picnic and just spend some time together before we depart for the summer. You're invited to join the Concord Church for summer services online, and we will come together again on September 12th in the Meeting House. Also, next Saturday is a yard sale. If you would like to come and join us, please call the church office. If you'd like to donate some things, we will take them. You can have a table as a member and just give a donation to the church. If you have friends and neighbors who want to do it, we do charge for tables and chairs and space for non-members. So please consider joining us for the yard sale. It's a fundraiser for the church, but it also is a way to clean out our closets this time of year. We'll also have a bake table, so if you like to bake, please bake something and we can sell that at the sale too. Please look at our website and follow our All Church email to stay up to date on all the things that go on at First Church. We will now relax into our introit, an early composition written by Mozart when he was just 6 years old, performed by Derry Dolezal. Our opening words are Your Children by Kahil Gibran. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life longing for itself. They come through you, but they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for happiness. For even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves the bow that is stable. I invite you to join with me in singing hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. I light our chalice this morning for all of our children and for our RE committee and for people who've taught past and present and future, in celebration of all that our religious education program has been and all that it will be. And I light our green sanctuary candle for all the ways we strive to be a more sustainable congregation. Now, if you're with me on Zoom, please unmute yourself and say with me the unison affirmation as is printed in the order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, to serve humanity in love is our covenant with each other and with God. You may mute yourself again. I invite you to enter into a time of listening. I don't have my meditation bell with me, so I'll just hum. And we're going to hear the story of Harold and the Purple Crayon, which is 50 years old this year.
Harold and the Purple Crayon by Crockett Johnson. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight, and he needed something to walk on. He made a long, straight path so he wouldn't get lost, and he set off on his walk, taking his big purple crayon with him. But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on the long, straight path, so he left the path for a shortcut across a field, and the moon went with him. The shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. He didn't want to get lost in the woods, so he made a very small forest with just one tree in it. It turned out to be an apple tree. The apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, when they got red. So he put a frightening dragon under the tree to guard the apples. It was a terrifying, terribly frightening dragon. It even frightened Harold. He backed away. His hand holding the purple crayon shook. Suddenly, he realized what was happening, but by then, Harold was over his head in an ocean. He came up thinking fast, and in no time, he was climbing aboard a trim little boat. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. After he had sailed long enough, Harold made land without much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering where he was. The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and the thought of picnics made him hungry. So he laid out a nice simple picnic lunch. There was nothing but pie, but there were all 9 kinds of pie that Harold liked best. When Harold finished the picnic, there was quite a lot left. He hated seeing so much delicious pie go to waste. So Harold left a few hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up, and off he went, looking for a hill to climb, to see where he was. Harold knew that the higher up he went, the farther he could see, so he decided to make the hill into a mountain. If he went high enough, he thought, he could see the window of his bedroom. He was tired, and he felt he ought to be getting to bed. He hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of the mountain. But as he looked down over the other side, he slipped, and there wasn't any other side of the mountain. He was falling in thin air. But luckily, he kept his wits and his purple crayon. He made a balloon and he grabbed onto it. And he made a basket under the balloon, big enough to stand in. He had a fine view from the balloon, but he couldn't see his window. He couldn't even see a house. So he made a house with windows, and he landed the balloon on the grass in the front yard. None of the windows was his window. He tried to think where his window ought to be. He made some more windows. He made a big building full of windows. He made lots of buildings full of windows. He made a whole city full of windows. But none of the windows was his window. He couldn't think where it might be. He decided to ask a policeman. The policeman pointed the way Harold was going anyway, but Harold thanked him. And he walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and in bed. Then suddenly, Harold remembered. He remembered where his bedroom window was. When there was a moon, it was always right around the moon. And then Harold made his bed. He got in it and drew up the covers. The purple crayon dropped on the floor, and Harold dropped off to sleep. The end.
I want you to think about Harold because I love that story because it is about a boy examining his imagination and letting it go wild. And I think that's where we strive to help children in our UU faith to expand their imaginations and run wild with them. I invite you into a time of prayer or meditation, as is your practice. We'll begin with the choir singing meditation on breathing. We'll breathe in peace and breathe out love.
Breathe
Let us be grateful for all the silences, for with them we may more completely experience sound. Our first reading is an excerpt from Fluent in Faith by Jean Harrison Newjuer. 2 generations ago, Edith Hunter, one of the great religious educators of that era, wrote the much-needed book, Conversations with Children, calling on parents and those who worked with children in their congregations to embrace opportunities to talk with children about deep religious questions and ethical struggles that are a part of every child's life. I echo that call in this generation. There are many opportunities for such conversations. They are often presented by the child's own questions and comments. "Where was I before I was born?" my oldest son asked me, as if he was beginning to learn about where babies come from. It was a stunningly religious question. I failed to give him the gift of conversation the question deserved. "You were in my tummy," I replied. "Yes," he went on, "but before that, where was I?" I think I laughingly just said, "Well, you weren't anywhere at all." I know he persisted, and I know I failed to respond in a way that might have opened up realms of wonder and mystery that might have led to a marveling at the ongoing stream of life through the ages, or to our shared delight at the miracle of this precious little life. I invite you to relax into our anthem, Prelude and Chorale von Himmelhoch by Frederick Wegg. Our second reading is an excerpt from Almost Everything by Anne Lamott. I heard something a few years ago that would have completely changed my life had I learned it as a child. It was at my church where I was teaching my Sunday school class of 2 teenage boys with rough skin, one slightly younger boy, and a little girl with elaborate and charming buck teeth, too young for braces. That day I was teaching my one good message, that we are loved and chosen as is, fearfully and wonderfully made, with love and awe, perfect and fragile. We are lovely as sparrows, and all sparrows are sweet. No one thinks that sparrow is kind of a loser, and boy, is that one letting herself go. I know that all teenagers believe that they are intrinsically defective. So that is why I brought up sparrows and friends. I asked the class if any of their best friends had acne, glasses, problems at home, and that made them love the friends less. Of course not. I asked them to say, "I have value," and both teenagers did so with mortification. The younger boy, not yet destroyed by hormones and society, said it as calmly as if announcing he had ears. I turned to the little girl. Expectantly, she said, "I has value." I asked her to say it again. "I has value. I has value." I want to get that tattooed on my forearm. A child said to me, "I has value," but the grown-ups mostly keep that thought to themselves. And I keep forgetting that I do. Could you say this about yourself right now, that you have immense and intrinsic value at your current weight and income level? while waiting to hear if you got the job or didn't, or sold your book or didn't. This idea that I had all the value I'd ever need was concealed from me my whole life. I wanted a refund. In this world of suffering and grace and of brokenness and sky, of bad skin and buck teeth and one another, I cannot add to the value of myself. It's just not out there. I invite you to sing with me hymn number 110, Come, Children of Tomorrow, Come. On Friday, we watched as our daughter Zoe graduated from high school, an important day in every life. I realized it's a day none of my nieces and nephews who were homeschooled by my sister will ever experience. This caused my father, who was visiting for the event, to comment, out of my 11 grandchildren, this is the first high school graduation I've been to since your sisters graduated. Homeschooling is a wonderful and viable choice for many families who homeschool their children with the intention of growing their communities and building their humanhood, while other families, like my sisters, homeschooled by isolating and withdrawing from the wider community that might challenge their thoughts and beliefs. This reminds me of words in It Matters What We Believe by Sophia Lyons-Foz, a premier religious education at the turn of the century. You probably remember it, but it begins, some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way to wider, deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows clouding children's days and fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with warmth of happiness. Our UU attempt to support families and children has always been founded on the premise that holding tightly to any belief can be life-limiting, while learning to live with ambiguity and learning to challenge and change your mind can be life-enhancing. Sophia Blanche Lyons-Foz was born on August 2nd, 1876 in China to Presbyterian missionaries and grew up to become a leading revolutionary in Unitarian religious education. Where Unitarians believed in rote education for children and had children memorizing Bible verses at the beginning of the 20th century, Foz teaching and writing focused on a method of experiential learning that enabled children to develop their own ideas about religion and spirituality, and her approach continues to inform our religious education today. After sitting through Noble's graduation yesterday, I realized that schools too are often engaged in helping children learn through experience and live with educational ambiguities in ways that they were not able to when Sophia Lyons-Foz was alive. Schools now are engaged in building communities of caring, helping students ask big questions, and providing children and youth with life-enhancing opportunities. Since the middle of the 20th century, schools have also been increasingly more engaged in experiential learning that Sophia Lyons-Foz founded Unitarian education on. During Sophia Lyons-Foz times, modernism rebelled against clear-cut storytelling and gave rise to thinkers such as Emily Dickinson and Walt Whitman. The increased value placed on direct experience in modernism led to Foz understanding of education and influenced our Unitarian Universalist education to this day. Of course, literature and culture have continued to evolve over the course of the last 100 years. The late 20th century was influenced by postmodernist thinking, which evolved after World War II. In reaction to the perceived faults of modernism and its grand theories, which were believed to give rise to totalitarianism, our children's religious education changed then too. It continued to be experiential, but it also became focused on helping children deconstruct religious ideas and gave rise to our Neighboring Faiths curriculum, which gives our youth an experience of several faith traditions in the hope of understanding our own more. As of the late 1990s and the early 2000s, many theorists and theologians described us living in a postmodern age, or metamodernism, which cultural theorists Timotheus Vermeulen and Robin van den Akker described as informed naivete, pragmatic idealism, and moderate fanaticism, characterized by a variety of reactions to climate change, racism, and the financial crisis. I believe we are evolving our UU curricula to metamodernism or post-postmodernism when we do our cool deeds and engage our children in social justice issues of their own choosing. We have also changed our name from religious education to the UU Explorers program to better reflect our desire to help our youth build the beloved community we all wish to live in, by responding to each other and to the problems in our world with care and compassion and curiosity. Let us be the keepers of this ever-changing dream with ever-changing values, and while the schools have picked up the mantle of education and community building, we still continue to offer a more quickly evolving cultural understanding for our UU children by responding to children's questions when they have them and reminding them of the importance of their one perfectly imperfect life. I invite you to sing with me, Sing Out Praises for the Journey, number 295, Sing Out Praises for the Journey. And now let us fix our steps, so we stagger not in the uneven motions of this world, but go steadily on our way, never centering our journey by the weather we meet, or turning aside from anything that might befall us. Amen. Please join me for Zoom social hour and Zoom annual meeting.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue